Hello my beautiful friends. If this is your first time to my channel, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Emily, and the reason why you cannot see me is because we are going to be doing a palette collection video. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. So this has been long requested from me, and I have been kind of avoiding doing this for a while because I'm the kind of person where I depot a lot of my palettes. So you guys are going to kind of see a mismatch of things here, and I'll do my best to explain which palettes are the ones that I've switched some things out and kind of moved things around, which ones I've basically left untouched, and if there's any other weird circumstances, I will absolutely let you guys know. But let me stop rambling here and let's get right on into what you guys want to see, which is my palette. So let's go ahead and get started here with one of my favorite palettes in the entire planet, and this is my Pat McGrath Mothership 5 Bronze Seduction palette. Now I do have a video on this palette, but I was literally calling it like the Bronze Ambition or something that's completely not its name. I was calling it that for the entire video, so clearly I do not do my homework, but this palette is absolutely stunning, and I think that this palette is so beautiful for these 4 shades on the end here. They are just beautiful, kind of glittery, kind of chunky eyeshadows, but they just look so stunning on the lids, and they look so reflective and so pretty, and I'm just like praying to God that Pat McGrath someday comes out with singles or quads of these. I would buy the whole entire collection if she came out with singles of these. They are just absolutely beautiful, and the rest of the palette is good too, but this is my favorite because of these bad boys right over in the corner here. So another surprising favorite of mine is the Venus 3 by Limecrime. Now I didn't really expect to love this palette nearly as much as I do, but I reach for this all the freaking time for one specific shade, which is crazy, but I absolutely love it, and that is the shade Beam, which is this beautiful purple kind of fuchsia-y shade. The shade is unlike anything I've ever seen. To me, it kind of reminds me of the Pat McGrath ones that I just showed you. It kind of has a sparkly, kind of chunky quality to it, just like the Pat McGrath shade, but it doesn't look chunky on the eyes. It looks so smooth and so like eye-catching and light-catching, and I freaking love it. The rest of the palette is good too. I kind of only really reach for the pink and the purple shades in here. I don't really reach for the taupes, but nonetheless, I'm not unhappy that I have this guy. Plus, this packaging is absolutely stunning. I freaking love the light, kind of cool-toned lilac pink with the rose gold details. I think that this is their most beautiful packaging yet. Speaking of beautiful packaging, we have the Nabala Soul Blooming eyeshadow palette. Now, this one is more new to my collection, and I wanted to do a review on it, but I didn't really feel like anyone would really care about it anymore because this has been out for a while. But I absolutely love this palette. But it's kind of the same situation as the Venus 3 and Pat McGrath, to be honest. I really love it for specific shades, but I'm not the most crazy about it when I'm looking at the palette as a whole. I absolutely love the shade Honey Drip, which is this beautiful iridescent gold kind of pinky shade. It is so freaking stunning, and honestly, you're gonna see a trend here. I absolutely love shades that remind me of the Pat McGrath metallics and the Pat McGrath foiled shades, and this shade reminds me of just that. It is very similar to the Pat McGrath shades. It is so stunning on the eyes. It's the most beautiful inner corner highlight I think you'll ever see. And honestly, Nabala, if you see this, please come out with more shades like Honey Drip that are in this formula. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I absolutely love it, and I could definitely use some more. Here we have my Flamingo eyeshadow palette by Violet Voss. Now, I really like this palette. I definitely like it. I think it's pretty. Do I reach for it super often? Not really, and I don't really know why. I think that the shimmers are really beautiful. I love the color selection, but the pinks and the oranges in this palette are actually kind of a letdown, which is very surprising because I thought that they would be stunning, but they're definitely pretty, but they're not as pigmented as I personally would have liked. So I have other pinks that I reach for more, I have other oranges that I reach for more, so for that reason I'm not too crazy about this guy, but I think that the shimmers and the greens are absolutely stunning. Surprisingly, the 2 matte greens up here, Oceanfront and Beach Ball, are like some of the best greens you'll ever use, which is really weird because I feel like greens are hard to formulate and oranges are some of the more basic shades that we see from time to time, so I don't really know why those aren't formulated amazing and the greens are. I guess I shouldn't be complaining, but those are just my thoughts on that. So here is my Be Perfect Carnival palette. This is another situation where I've been saying the name wrong the entire time. Sorry about the ring light there, but this is called the Be Perfect Carnival palette, and I've been calling it the BP Perfect Carnival palette, and I'm pretty sure that I've like labeled my videos as that, and I'm just a hot mess, okay? But this palette is in collaboration with Stacey Marie MUA on Instagram, and as you can see, we have some gorgeous rainbow shades in here. The highlighters are really pretty. I absolutely love these shades right here. I absolutely love the pink and the peach and the purple. These are absolutely beautiful, and I absolutely love pairing this together with my Venus 3 palette when I'm reaching for that beautiful metallic lilac shade. I like to reach for the pink and the purple in this palette. So here is a palette that you've probably seen before if you've been subscribed to my channel since the beginning. This is my Venus XL palette. Now, I used to use this every single day. As you can see, holy crap, we have a lot of wear and tear here. I've even hit pan on the shade Scallop, which is this light pink. I'm really close to hitting pan on the shade Flora, which is my absolute favorite kind of peachy orange in the entire world. It's really hard to find shades that are the same undertone as Flora. It's like this beautiful hot neon pinky orange, and I have really had a hard time finding a shade that is as pigmented as Flora and is as bright as Flora. It is absolutely beautiful. This palette is stunning, although I do feel like some of the shades are kind of unnecessary and some of them kind of are overlapping with the original Venus palette. I still really like it and I don't regret it. This is the ColorPop Ooh La La palette, and this one is newer to my collection. I literally bought this guy because I'm going on vacation in a couple weeks and I wanted something to bring with me that was a bit more compact, that had all of the pink eyeshadow that I would need for a vacation. So this guy was only 12 bucks and I took the leap, I purchased it, and I do not regret it even one bit. The shade Tickled up here in the corner is one of the most stunning shades I've ever seen ColorPop produce, and I hope to God they come out with a single shade of this because so many people are asking for it. Everyone who's gotten their hands on this palette has said the same thing, how gorgeous Tickled is and how they want it to be a single shadow in their line. So ColorPop, listen to the people here. We want Tickled in single shadow form. So here we have another love of mine, and this is the Jeffree Star Blood Sugar palette. This is the palette that got me into hot pink. For a while, I was into like a corally, peachy pink type of scenario, but ever since I picked up this palette, I have always been reaching for the shade Cavity, which of course is this beautiful, stunning hot pink in the center here. I really like the purple as well, which is called Root Canal. I think the shades in this palette are beautiful. I do really love the shades in this palette, but I do kind of wish that there was more bright shades in here. If you look at that top row, there's a lot of neutrals, a lot of taupes, and I feel like some of the shades look very similar to each other, so I wish that those were like other shades of purple or other shades of pink or maybe some more metallics. But nonetheless, this palette is stunning and I'm really happy that I have it. Plus the packaging is like the cutest thing in the world. Look at this. This is so adorable and it's super high quality. I'm really impressed with this guy. Here we have my Ace Beauty Blossom Passion palette. As you can see, the packaging is to die for, and the colors on the inside are also to die for. I have a few videos on this guy, and I will link those down below, but as you can see, we have some stunning, beautiful pink shades. This is like my dream palette come true. This is literally me in a palette, and honestly, so is the ColorPop Ooh La La palette. Both of these just represent me and the colors that I love so freaking well. As you can see, we have a beautiful shade that's very close to Flora from the Venus XL palette. It's not quite as bright and not quite as pigmented, but it's very, very close. This is the closest dupe that I found thus far, and I was searching for a long time. I have a lot of shades like this because I was trying to dupe out Flora. But these are beautiful pinks, and this palette is just a dream come true in my opinion. Speaking of dreams coming true, this is my Give Me Glow Summer Vibes palette. As you can see, this is not the exact same palette as what you'll buy when you go to the website. I have switched out some of the shades in here for some brighter shades. I've switched some of them out for some Give Me Glow Galaxy shadows. There was some neutrals in here that I just wasn't really feeling, so I switched them out and I wanted to make this an entirely colorful palette. But they really knocked it out of the park with the shades that they picked for this palette. Watermelon is one of my favorite eyeshadows in existence. I literally own 3 of these. I'm not even kidding. I'm really close to hitting pan on this guy. I can see a little dip in it. I also really love the shade Brazilian Bikini, which is this beautiful teal. I love the pinks. I love the shimmers. Give Me Glow makes my absolute favorite formula of matte eyeshadow, especially for colorful mattes. These are so pigmented and blendable and beautiful. I can't say enough good things about this. Then we have my Creepy Cute palette by Strobe Cosmetics. I have switched out some of the shades for this palette. I wanted to basically make like a green, purple, and teal palette, so I just switched out some of the pinks and the oranges that were in here. This palette is beautiful. It's filled with stunning pastels that are all matte and they are super pigmented and really blendable for pastels. I wasn't able to get my hands on the Kat Von D Pastel Goth palette. I regretted it and I went out and picked up the Creepy Cute palette by Strobe Cosmetics. I think this palette is stunning and I would like to see them come out with a Creepy Cute version 2 with other shades of pastels because I think that would be so fun and cool and I really hope that they do it someday. Moving on to my Huda Beauty palettes, we have the Amethyst Obsessions, which I have videos on all of my Huda Beauty palettes. I will have those linked down below as well. This is my favorite one that I own out of the 3 that I have. These purples are beautiful, they are pigmented, they are blendable. These shimmers are like out of this world. I think they're stunning, especially this bottom one down here, which is kind of like a pinky, taupey purple shimmer, if you will. I think that the Gemstone Collection palettes that she came out with are actually a really good move on her part because I feel like a lot of people weren't really talking about Huda Beauty and I heard a lot of people saying not so good things about Huda Beauty for a while, but then she came out with these and people were just smitten with them, and for good reason. They're stunning. So here we have my Ruby Obsessions palettes. I'm going to be bringing the Amethyst Obsessions and the Ruby Obsessions to Florida with me when I go in a couple weeks. This way I have all the reds that I'll need and all the purples that I'll need. I can't really say much more about it other than this is basically every red shade you could need if you're going traveling, if you travel a lot and you want some compact palettes to bring with you. These are just perfect. And then we have the one that I'm not too crazy about, and this is the Coral Obsessions palettes. Now I have like 3 videos about this on my channel and I tried to make it work, but I just don't really find these to be as blendable or as pigmented as her most recent collection she's come out with. I find that they don't wear very long on me, so this palette I could have done without. I'm not super crazy about it. As you can see, a lot of the shades in here look very, very similar, and especially when you get them onto the eyes, they start to get very muddy very, very quickly. But with that being said, I think it's a beautiful concept and I like these small mini palettes, but this one just isn't really my favorite. So here's another palette that I'm not too crazy about either, and this is from limecrime as well. This is the limecrime Pocket Candy palette in the shade Pink Lemonade. Now as you can see, we have some beautiful pinks. We have a nice berry tone. We have that gorgeous shimmery yellow in the center, and the packaging looks like Polly Pockets, and I freaking love that. I played with those all the time when I was little, so I was basically hit by the nostalgia factor here, and that's why I purchased it. I purchased it on sale, so I don't really regret spending the money, but honestly I kind of do because I just don't feel like this formula is up to par with their regular Venus palette formulas. These are a little bit more sheer and not as blendable, not as pigmented. I find that you can build them up, but they don't build up to be very pigmented. You can layer them, but they just don't get as pigmented as you normally would expect with an eyeshadow. So these are pretty, but I don't know. I'm not too crazy about this. Now we have a palette with beautiful packaging that I've literally never used, and this is from Makeup Revolution. I don't even know the name of this palette. What is this called? Life on the Dance Floor. This is the Makeup Revolution Life on the Dance Floor palette. I only really purchased this because I was looking for a dupe of Flora from the Venus XL palette. As you guys saw, I used to use that all the time. I'm close to hitting pan on it, and for a while I was like scrambling to find a cheaper alternative. This way when I did hit pan, I had one on standby because I'm insane like that. And this palette does have some beautiful corals in it, but I've literally never used it because it smells really bad, which is kind of, I don't know, pretentious, but it smells like crayons, and for that reason I've never put it on my eyes, which is crazy. I own it, I should, but every time I've wanted a shade like this, I just reach for my Venus XL palette. Maybe one day I'll finally get around to trying this. So now we have my BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette. I have switched out some of the shades in here, but for the most part, everything is still the same. I think this palette is stunning for a drugstore palette. I believe I only picked it up for like 12 bucks, so it was really inexpensive. The shades are beautiful. You get a nice variety of colorful mattes and colorful shimmers. I find these to be very pigmented and blendable, and I was overall really impressed with this palette. So now we have one that I was not impressed with at all, and that is the Naked Heat palette. I literally only got this because I was watching ShanXO's review on this palette like a year ago, and I commented that she's making me want the palette, and she was like, girl, you should get it. And I was like, oh my god, she responded. I was like kind of starstruck, and so I went out and purchased this the same day because, as I said, I was starstruck. And within purchasing it and trying it on my eyes later that day, I realized I did not like the color scheme for me and for my specific makeup style at all. But for some reason I held on to it. I was like, I'm gonna make myself like this, and I never really ended up using it. I don't like the color scheme for myself. I think that on other people this would be awesome, but for my makeup taste and what I like to do with my eyeshadow, this is just not it. So here is my festival palette by Juvia's Place. I've switched out a few of the shades, as you can see. We have a lot of pinks in here and some red tones, and I wanted to kind of add to that theme. So I just switched out some of the shades for some single shadows that I had lying around. So I have basically every tone of pinky red that I would need in this palette. I don't really reach for it that often, but I'm happy to have it. I think the formula is good, and I don't know, this palette doesn't really get me in my feels like I wanted it to. And here is my Saharan 2. I know it looks absolutely nothing like the original Saharan 2. I actually have some highlighters in here, and I basically just depotted all the shades that I liked and basically put all of my shades that I don't really like that much, but I wanted to keep in my collection in this palette. So this is just kind of like a mismatch of things. It really doesn't look like the OG Saharan palette at all, so yeah, this guy's basically unrecognizable. Here is my extremely expensive Natasha Denona Sunset palette. I depotted out some of the shades in here as well. I depotted the red as well as the yellow and the peach, and I replaced those shades with some of my Natasha Denona Joya palette shades. So I basically wanted to have all my Natasha Denona that I don't use all the time in the same place. This way I could just reach for it and be able to access it all at once without having to go searching for it. And my favorite shades from this palette and the Joya palette are in my two main Z palettes. This way I know where all of my Natasha Denona is at all times, because this is too damn expensive to lose track of the eyeshadows. Also a Frankenstein mismatch of eyeshadows here. This is my limecrime OG Venus 1 palette. I have replaced some of the shades in here. As you can see, it is beat up to hell and back, but I've kind of kept with the same color scheme here. I don't reach for this that much, but if I want something that is reminiscent of the original Venus palette, then I have it on hand. I just don't really reach for it that often. I'm not crazy about these shades right now, but maybe someday I will be. I don't know, it's a dumb reason to keep a palette, but I'm gonna do it anyway, because I paid for it. And another Frankenstein palette. This is the original Huda Beauty Rose Gold palette. I've depotted a bunch of these shades. They are all in my Z palettes now, or at least all my favorite shades. And all of the more neutral kind of basic shades I left in here. I replaced some of them with some Lorac shadows and some ColorPop shadows. This guy is really, really ugly, so I'm sorry that you guys had to see that. This is why I didn't want to make this video, because of my ugly palettes that look like this. They're basically like my Frankenstein monster palettes. So two more here and then we are all done. So this is from Clionadh Cosmetics, and this is a part of their Valentine's Day collection that they came out with for this year. This is a trio of eyeshadows, and this is a chocolate and strawberries palette. I think that this is really, really cute. We have a beautiful burgundy red, we have a gorgeous kind of deeper metallic gold, and then on the side here we have a beautiful deep berry. I think this palette would be absolutely beautiful for people with deeper complexions, because these shades are actually pretty dark, and that gold shade in the center would be an absolutely beautiful face highlight for someone with darker skin, or if you wanted to use this as a center of the lid shade, it is beautiful for that as well. These palettes are beautiful, and the packaging is so freaking cute. I really love the packaging that they did for this entire collection. I think it's so adorable. And finally, we have another Clionadh trio here. This one is a little bit lighter in tone. This is the White Strawberries and Cream palette. As you can see, we have some lighter tones in here. We have a beautiful, cool toned, kind of lilac-y pink shade, which is absolutely beautiful, and I have another pan of this on hand. I have it in the single shadow form, and it's the shade Strawberry Mousse. I also have another pan of the middle shade, which is the shade Pink Sugar. It is a beautiful light pink metallic with a little bit of a sparkle to it. It is absolutely beautiful on the eyes, and on the end here we have a gorgeous kind of pinky brown, but it has a bit of a tan undertone to it, and it definitely has a bit of a pink undertone as well. I think that these trios are so cute, and I love that they are named after chocolates and strawberries. So those are all the palettes that I have in my collection. I do have some more, but I have completely depotted all of them. I have a few of the Dose of Colors 5-pan palettes, but those are no more. They have been spread amongst my Z palette. They've basically been deconstructed from the palette that they once were. So they're basically beyond recognizable at this point. But I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I know a lot of people have been requesting it, and as I said earlier, I've been hesitant to post it just because of all of these like mismatched palettes and all of these Frankenstein palettes that I have. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed seeing everything, and let me know down in the comments below, what are some palettes that you've tried out of my collection? What are some that you think I should add to my collection based on, obviously, the color palette that I like here, which is just a lot of pink, let's be honest. But please do let me know down in the comments below, what are some of your guys' favorite palettes? Because although I should not be adding to this monstrosity of a collection, I am always on the lookout for new palettes, especially ones that have unique color combinations. I'm just like a palette sucker. That's like the one item that I can't really resist buying for my collection, even though I know I don't need any more. But with that being said, that is going to be wrapping it up for me today. I do hope that you consider subscribing if you have not already. I am doing all sorts of makeup goodness happening here on this channel, so if you are not already subscribed and you would like to be, I would love to see you hit that subscribe button down below. I do also hope that you consider giving this video a big old thumbs up and turning on the notification bell if you want to know when I am posting and you enjoy my videos. But I hope you are having an absolutely amazing day wherever you are, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye!